Well, folks, Tennessee has passed the bill that will arm the teachers. Yeah, Tennessee's answer to gun violence was more guns. Let's just make teachers' lives that much more hard, and let's arm the teachers. It's absolute batshit insanity. We have to call it for what it is. This bill is passed now. Governor Bill Lee could veto it, but Governor Bill Lee has never vetoed a bill before. And since he is right there alongside all these Republicans, I can't see him vetoing it. So it looks like we're stuck with it at the moment. But the minute that this bill passed, chants erupted in the gallery that was saying the blood is on your hands. Take a look at this. Now, a lot of times when I sit down in this chair to talk about Tennessee politics, I'm always pointing to the low-hanging fruit like Bill Lee and Tim Burchett and Marsha Blackburn and Cameron Sexton. There's just so many that I could choose from to sit and point out how often they get it wrong. But we do have some here in Tennessee that gets it right, and they get it right despite the fact of how they're treated, and one of which is Justin Jones. And I want to share some clips here from Justin, because I want people from outside of Tennessee and people right here in Tennessee that may not understand exactly what's going on and exactly what it is that he's combating every day of his life. I want you guys to watch these clips, because when you're done watching these clips, if you don't have respect for Justin Jones, then I don't have respect for you. Take a look at this.
What happened between you and Leader Lambert on the floor?
Thank you, Phil. Well, Phil, I want to start by saying that this has been a session marked by vitriol and bullying from a majority of white men who run this Capitol. I'm the youngest black lawmaker in this building, Phil. I've been called a boy. I've been told that I'm worthless. I've been told that I don't belong here. I've been laughed at when I say, why won't you even bring up my bill in committee on the floor? I've been physically bumped as I'm going to the snack room. And this is what it's like to be a young black lawmaker in this building. And every day we're treated as second class in this building and told that we don't belong here. This is what we've seen all session, Phil. From the beginning of the session, when I was told I should resign just because I had a moral act of moral conscience not to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, told I should resign, to my bills about gun violence not even being heard when I come. And then on Thursday, we voted on a $52.8 billion budget with the largest corporate tax cut in the history of our state. And I kept my hand up, kept raising it for that hour. And our leadership said, oh, you don't have to keep it up, you'll be called on, you're gonna be called on. And what happened, Phil? I was not called on. The constituents of my district were not given a voice. I even was able to ask one of the Republicans who said he was on the list before me, I said, do you mind rolling a space so I could speak? And he did that, to his credit, Representative Todd Warner. But still the speaker said, no, I'm gonna call on somebody else because they did not want me to speak and challenge this immoral budget. And so I went to go to make a parliamentary inquiry, as is our right, and to ask about Article 2, Section 27 of the state constitution that says any lawmaker has the right to dissent from and protest against legislation that they find injurious to the people and have their dissent marked in the Journal of the House. Lambert gets up there and is always making snide comments like, you just need to sit down. Why are you even up here? I said, as a lawmaker, as a colleague, I have a right to have my dissent put in the journal. He said, no one cares what you have to say. And this is what we're told all the time. And starts physically getting in my space. I said, Lambert, you can sit down, back up. And he said, I will knock you out. This is what he told me.
He said, I will knock you out.
He said, I will knock you out. And the thing is, Phil, is people like you, my friend, and so many people in this building have normalized white violence. When Jason Zachary threatened to fight Representative Dixie, no one said anything, not even the media. When John Ray Clemens and Scott Sapicki physically tried to fight on the floor, and I raised a point of objection, Lambert in fact made the joke saying, I'm a snowflake, and that was just a passionate conversation when two men had to be pulled apart from each other. And that was normalized in this building. Why is it, Phil, that we continue to normalize the violence of white men, including Lambert? And then for you, my friend, to say, oh, Representative Jones called him a racist. Instead of calling out the acts of racism, it is more offensive to you that I call someone a racist for acting in a racist manner than for them acting racist. And that is wrong.
Now just imagine being treated that way every day of your life at work. Imagine the toll that would have to take. This isn't someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene who's just going around bullying everybody and trying to take away rights from everyone that they disagree with. This is someone who is going to bat every day for the people in his district and standing up for their rights. And when he calls out racism for the racism that it is, everybody gets upset at that and not upset over the racism itself. And here Phil Williams tries to pin Justin down and be like, well, some people says that you're too quick to accuse people of being a racist. And I love Jones's response. Take a look at this.
So some of your own colleagues in the Black Caucus think that you are too quick to throw out racism as an accusation. But what do you say to that?
Can you give us some names so I can respond?
No, I'm not going to go into that right now. What do you say to that accusation?
That I'm too quick to throw out racism?
Yes.
That last year I was the one of 2 lawmakers who was expelled from this building. When 3 lawmakers protested, 2 black lawmakers were kicked out of this building and expelled. That was racism. I'm serving in a building where you had a member just last week threatened to ban reparations studies and try and minimize slavery and say that it was the fault of monarchs, of African monarchs. That is racist. We have a member of this body who threatened to bring back lynching. That is racist. You have members of this body who use their power to make so that 1 in 5 black men cannot vote, who fought to keep up a KKK statue in this Capitol, who fight to jail black and brown bodies, Phil. That is racist. And so I think that the thing is, Phil, it's not too soon to call it racism, but it's been too long in the coming. In fact, Diane Nash, who was here just this week, my mentor, who was honored at City Hall, said that this was racism that we're seeing here, called it out for racism. Our civil rights elders, I don't want you to make this a elder versus young people thing, because our civil rights elders, people like Kwame Lillard, a freedom rider who I worked with, said this was a racist Capitol that kept up a KKK statue that was put up in 1978. Dr. Charles Kimbrough, a black man who I try to honor, a civil rights leader, that they said we're not going to put a resolution to honor him. That was racist. Allison Russell, I filed a resolution to honor her, as you know, and a white musician who both have been outspoken. Only the black musician was not allowed to have her resolution passed, Phil. That was racist. And so, Phil, I'll say to you in the words of Dr. King, that our greatest threat in our stride toward freedom is not the KKK or the White Citizens Counselor, but it's the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, as opposed to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. And so calling things racist is fact. The definition of racism is using power to systemically oppress and deny rights to people of a subjugated racial class, in this case, black Tennesseans. That is what Lamberth has championed in his legislature and all the policies I named. And so by that definition, he is a racist.
It's so good to see a young, articulate, intelligent black man just calling out white racism right to its face. But take a listen to this next clip, because listen to just how bad Jones is treated here.
My first week in the legislature, Phil, I was on this elevator. On the elevator, and Glory knows I went straight to Glory's office because I was so shocked. And State Senator Jack Johnson and me were on the elevator. He said, I just want you to know, Jones, that you're worthless and you don't belong here. That was my welcome to this legislature. To be told that someone with my hair that you should cut your hair because it doesn't look professional, when this is me embracing my culture, my indigenous culture as well. That is racist, Phil. It's racist and it's wrong. And so again, if this idea that it's more offensive to call out racism than to act in racist ways is wrong. It is unjust, it is immoral. And it's something that we've seen throughout history. That people, that's what the whole letter from Birmingham jail was about, Phil. When Dr. King called out those clergy saying, you deplore the actions, you deplore the protests, but you don't deplore the conditions that brought them out into being. So you deplore me saying that they're racist, but we're not deploring the conditions that are leading me as the youngest black lawmaker in this body to say, this is how I've been treated every day here.
What is so disgusting to me about all of this is seeing someone, a good man like Justin Jones, get demonized like that every day of his life, when all he's doing is standing up for people and their rights. And meanwhile, we got a political party who stands back and calls the January 6th insurrectionists, those domestic terrorists, they call them patriots and hostages. They change the words to the national anthem and sing along with them in jail and call themselves patriots. They've completely hijacked and bastardized the American flag so much that it's truly a shame that they will sit and call people like that patriots and then try to demonize people like Justin Jones and even go so far as to say, you're not a politician, you're more of an activist. But take a look again at the masterclass that Justin Jones is.
And they want to do everything they can to drive me out of here, to make me feel inferior, to tell me that, to even try and minimize us. You've used this word, Phil, that you all are acting like activists and lawmakers. No, Phil, we're acting as advocates for our district. I represent the most diverse district in the state. And when I talk to people from my district, people who are immigrants who are crying because of these bills targeting immigrants because of the rhetoric in this building, where they're calling them rapists and criminals like Monty Fritz did, or drug dealers, and I have mothers coming to my office, Phil, I have to speak up for them. When I hear them when I was the only lawmaker who actually went to the border and met with people, and let's humanize them, because that's what my faith requires, and that's what our job requires. And they're like, no, that's an invasion, and demonizing in one broad swath of people as criminal and as illegal aliens. This is the terms they use. That is racist. I mean, it's harmful. And words, we cannot normalize racist rhetoric, because then it normalizes racist vigilante violence. I'll end by saying this, Phil, that was it a month ago? It was a month ago. We were over there, 3 blocks away from the Capitol. I left an event speaking at a black sorority honoring Deltas. And Phil, I walked out to neo-Nazis with swastikas chanting, "Save the white man, deport all Mexicans." That was racist. We call that racism. But then when we hear the same thing on this floor, why is it wrong to call that racist? When I hear the same thing from Monty Fritz and Jody Barrett every time they come to this floor and demonize my constituents, why is it okay to call that racist, the march, but not the policies? Why is it okay to call it racist when it's, with a swastika, but not when it's in the suit? I don't understand the logic, and that's my concern.
Thank you.
Folks, I'm just going to shoot straight with you. When I went to grade school, from the 1st grade through 6th grade, I never laid eyes on a black kid. There was no black kids in my elementary school. When I made it to middle school, I think there was like 2 that went there. By the time I got to high school, the entire 4 years I was there, I could probably count on one hand how many black kids were at our school. And I think there was one in my graduating class. But it wasn't something that I was around growing up. And then when I went out into the world, playing music in my part of the world, I was playing to white audiences. But I can see through the blatant racism that is right directly in front of my face. I don't see how people can look at it and not see it for what it is. Actually, I can see it. I'm wrong about that. I can see it. They are empowered by Donald Trump. As bad as I hate to say this, they had 8 years of Barack Obama, an articulate, smart, well-educated black man, telling them what to do. And they felt so powerless. They felt so threatened by that they turned around and voted for one of the biggest pieces of trash in history. And that piece of trash just empowered them to say all the quiet parts out loud. And now they're in legislature and they're just pushing around people like Justin Jones and saying all the quiet parts out loud and passing these insane bills that's just going to cause more chaos in our state. That's where we're at. But there's one thing that Justin Jones said there while talking to Phil Williams that I've always held this in my heart. I've always believed this. The words of Martin Luther King, and that is, it's not going to be the words of the enemy, it's going to be the silence of friends. That's what's going to be remembered. We cannot sit back and be silent. If I was sitting face to face right now with Justin Jones, I could say to him honestly, you know what? I don't understand all the struggles of the black community because I wasn't raised in one. I wasn't raised around one. I don't understand all your struggles. I don't understand everything you're going through, but I'm listening. I'm here to listen, and I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to use my platform to stand beside you. Because the last thing I want to be remembered for is the guy that sat back on the fence and said nothing. And I'm perfectly content now with where I'm at. For those people all the time, I ain't seen you playing music in a while. It's been a while since I seen you playing music. Hey, listen, I'm fine. I still listen to music every day. I ride down the road in my car and I blast Waylon Jennings to the top of my lungs. But I'm not going to sit there and just play those songs over and over for people who are talking so loud that I can't even hear myself sing. I'd much rather be sitting in this chair talking about what matters and at least be remembered as the guy that stood beside them instead of the guy that just sat back and remained quiet.